Ladies and gentlemen, every single one of us has the ability to transform. Not over years, not over months, but in a matter of days. The problem is most people wait. They wait for the right time, the right motivation, the right opportunity to step into their power. But power is not something you wait for. It's something you build. It's something you claim. And the truth is, in just 1 week, you can become unrecognizable, not by pretending to be someone else, but by stripping away everything that has been holding you back. This is not about changing who you are. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. It's about walking into a room and commanding presence without saying a word. It's about shifting your mindset, your body language, your words, and your actions so that people see you differently, so that you see yourself differently. Power is not given, it is cultivated. And in the next 7 days, if you're willing to make the right shifts, you will not just feel more powerful, you will be more powerful. The steps are simple, but they are not easy. You must take control of how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you think, how you handle adversity, and most importantly, how you detach from the need for approval, because the moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop asking for permission to be great, you will step into a version of yourself that even you won't recognize. And when that happens, the world will have no choice but to take notice. Most people go through life believing their identity is something given to them. They wear labels placed on them by their past, their family, their mistakes, their successes. They assume who they are is fixed, that their personality is a product of what has happened to them. But the truth is, identity is a choice. It's not a label you're given, it's a script you write. If you want to be powerful, if you want to be unrecognizable from who you were a week ago, you have to start by rewriting that script. Think about the most powerful people you know, the ones who walk into a room and command it before they even speak. Were they born that way? No, they decided to become that way. They crafted an identity, shaped it with intention, and committed to it. It doesn't matter who you were yesterday. What matters is who you choose to be today. Now, that's not easy. It's not a flick of a switch, but in 1 week, you can lay the foundation. The first step is to get brutally honest with yourself. Who are you when nobody is watching? What do you believe about yourself that is holding you back? If you think, I'm not a leader, I'm not strong enough, I don't deserve success, then guess what? You're reinforcing an identity that weakens you. And here's the thing, your brain will always work to prove you right. If you tell yourself you're not powerful, you will find ways to act powerless. But if you tell yourself you are capable of more, if you choose an identity that is bold, disciplined, and decisive, your actions will begin to follow. Your body, your energy, your confidence, everything shifts when you align your identity with who you want to become. This is why people who make radical changes in their lives always start with mindset first. They change their story before they change their actions. And once you shift the narrative you've been telling yourself, the way you show up in the world will shift too. One way to do this is through repetition. Every morning, before the day pulls you in 100 different directions, take 5 minutes and remind yourself who you are becoming. Don't just say it, feel it. If you want to be more decisive, say out loud, I make decisions with confidence and clarity. If you want to command more respect, tell yourself, I walk into every room with presence and certainty. And then act like it. Because confidence isn't about waiting until you feel ready. Confidence is acting like the person you want to be before you fully believe it. The second step is to disrupt your patterns. People stay the same because they live on autopilot. They wake up the same way, think the same thoughts, react the same way to challenges. If you want to become unrecognizable, you need to shake up your default settings. Stand taller, move with purpose, make eye contact longer than usual, say no when you'd usually say yes just to please others. The smallest shifts in behavior create a ripple effect, and soon, you're no longer reacting to life, you're shaping it. The final step is to act before you feel ready. The greatest trap people fall into is waiting until they feel different before they act differently. That's backward. Action creates emotion, not the other way around. Want to feel powerful, start acting powerful now. Want to be respected, start showing up like someone who deserves respect. It won't feel natural at first. It will feel forced. That's fine. That's how change works. But if you commit to it, if you embody that new identity every single day, something remarkable happens. One day, it won't feel forced anymore. And one day, it will feel like who you truly are. And that's when you've won. Not because the world recognizes you differently, but because you recognize yourself differently. Power is not just about how you think. It's about how you carry yourself, the way you breathe, the way you stand, the way you move. These things communicate who you are before you even say a word. If you want to become powerful and unrecognizable in 1 week, you need to take control of your physiology. Because the truth is, people don't respond to what you say as much as they respond to how you make them feel. And how you make them feel is determined by your energy, your presence, and your physicality. Your posture is the first signal you send to the world. Most people shrink themselves without even realizing it. They round their shoulders, lower their gaze, and speak with hesitation. And then they wonder why people don't respect them. But think about the people who command attention when they walk into a room. They don't slouch. They don't fidget. They don't make themselves small. They stand tall with their shoulders back and their chin up. Not in an exaggerated way, not in a way that feels forced, but in a way that says, I belong here. The moment you adjust your posture, everything shifts. Your confidence, your mood, even the way people respond to you. Breathing is another factor most people overlook. Shallow, rapid breathing signals anxiety and weakness. Deep, controlled breathing signals strength and composure. When you take slow, deep breaths, you tell your nervous system that you are in control. You tell the people around you that you are not easily shaken. Watch someone who exudes power, and you'll notice they are never frantic. They move with intention, they breathe with control, and that calmness makes them magnetic. If you want to be seen as powerful, master your breath. Before you enter a room, take a deep breath in, hold it for a few seconds, and release it slowly. Do this a few times and you'll immediately feel more grounded. Eye contact is another unspoken language of power. Weak people look away too quickly. They avert their gaze, they scan the room nervously, they look down at their phones to escape the discomfort of presence. But powerful people hold eye contact just long enough to make an impact. They don't stare aggressively, they simply make it clear that they are present, engaged, and unafraid. When you speak to someone, resist the urge to look away too soon. Hold their gaze for just 1 extra second. That 1 second is the difference between looking uncertain and looking composed. Movement is just as important. Power is not frantic, it is deliberate. The way you walk into a room, the way you take a seat, the way you turn your head, these things communicate confidence or insecurity without you saying a word. If you want to be perceived as powerful, slow down your movements. Move with precision, with awareness. People who rush seem desperate. People who move with purpose seem in control. Pay attention to this throughout your day. Notice if you're tapping your fingers, shifting your weight nervously, or rushing through tasks. These habits send subconscious signals of weakness. Instead, practice stillness. When you sit, sit with certainty. When you stand, stand firm. When you move, move with intention. Your voice is another tool of power. Most people don't realize that the way they speak determines whether or not people listen to them. A weak voice is high-pitched, rushed, or filled with nervous laughter. Powerful voice is measured, clear, and controlled. If you want to sound more powerful, slow down your speech. Take pauses. Let your words land. When you speak too quickly, it signals insecurity. When you allow silence between your words, it signals confidence. Record yourself speaking and listen to how you sound. Are you rushing? Are you trailing off at the end of sentences? If so, practice lowering your tone slightly, speaking from your diaphragm instead of your throat, and ending your sentences with certainty instead of hesitation. The energy you bring into a room is the final piece of mastering your physiology. People can feel your presence before you say a word. If you walk in with an energy that says, I don't belong here, people will sense it. If you walk in with an energy that says, I own this space, people will sense that too. Your energy is a reflection of what you believe about yourself, and the good news is you can control it. Before you step into any situation where you want to be perceived as powerful, take a moment to ground yourself. Stand tall, breathe deeply, move with purpose, and own your presence. Because the way you show up physically shapes the way the world responds to you. Most people believe that power comes from speaking more, from making their presence known through words, from being the loudest voice in the room. But true power comes from the opposite. The most powerful people don't waste words. They don't speak to fill silence. They don't need to prove themselves with excessive talking. Instead, they master the art of saying less and meaning more. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and that is exactly why it is such a powerful tool. Most people rush to fill gaps in conversation, afraid that if they don't speak, they will be forgotten or ignored. But those who command true respect understand that silence is not a void to be filled, it is a space that demands attention. When you learn to embrace silence, to hold a pause before speaking, to allow your words to carry weight instead of being lost in a stream of unnecessary talking, you shift the way people perceive you. Think about the last time you were in a conversation with someone who spoke too much. They probably explained themselves repeatedly, rambled without direction, or talked over others. Now think about the people who made a lasting impression on you. Chances are, they didn't waste words. They spoke with precision. They knew when to pause. They didn't compete for attention because they didn't need to. That is the kind of presence you need to cultivate. One way to do this is to become comfortable with strategic pauses. Before responding to a question, take a breath. Before giving your opinion, pause for a moment. This doesn't just make you seem more thoughtful, it makes people lean in. When you don't rush to speak, others assume you have something valuable to say. They pay closer attention, they respect your words more. A well-placed pause is often more impactful than a long-winded explanation. Another way to master the art of speaking less and impacting more is to remove weak language from your speech. Listen to yourself throughout the day. Notice how often you use words that dilute your message. Phrases like, I think, I just, maybe, kind of, or I'm not sure, but weaken your presence. Powerful people don't hedge their statements. They don't ask for permission with their words. They speak directly, clearly, and with certainty. Instead of saying, I think this might be a good idea, say, this is the right approach. Instead of saying, I just wanted to check in, say, I'm following up. Small changes in language create big changes in how you are perceived. The way you structure your sentences also matters. Powerful speakers don't over-explain. They don't give unnecessary details. They state what needs to be said and then they stop. If you're used to over-talking, practice this. Say what you need to say in 1 or 2 sentences, then stop and wait. Let the silence do the work. Most people struggle with this because they fear that if they don't keep talking, they won't be heard. But the reality is, the more you talk, the more your words lose impact. When you strip away the excess and speak with intention, people listen. Tone is just as important as content. You can say the same words in 2 different ways and get 2 completely different responses. If you speak too softly, with upward inflection at the end of your sentences, you sound uncertain. If you rush through your words, you sound nervous. If you allow your voice to carry, if you end your sentences with conviction, if you slow down and control your pacing, you sound powerful. And when you sound powerful, people assume you are. One of the most overlooked aspects of communication is knowing when not to speak at all. Some of the most powerful moments in conversation happen when you choose to say nothing. When someone tries to get a reaction out of you and you don't respond immediately, you hold the power. When someone fills the silence with unnecessary words and you simply listen, you control the energy of the conversation. You don't have to comment on everything. You don't have to prove yourself with words. The less you say, the more weight your words carry. This shift in communication doesn't just change the way others see you, it changes the way you see yourself. When you stop wasting words, when you learn to speak with intention, when you resist the urge to over-explain, you begin to feel more in control. You no longer seek validation through talking. You become comfortable in your presence. You realize that true influence isn't about saying more. It's about making what you do say impossible to ignore. Most people think resilience is something you either have or you don't. They assume that strong people were born that way, that confidence and power come from some innate quality they simply lack. But resilience is not a gift. It is built. It is earned. And it is built in the moments when no one is watching, in the trenches of discomfort, in the situations where you could quit, but you don't. The problem is, most people avoid discomfort. They do everything they can to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to stay within the boundaries of what they already know. They avoid failure, they avoid risk, they avoid situations where they might look weak or inexperienced. And by doing so, they ensure that they never become strong. Resilience isn't developed when things are easy, it is developed when things are hard. If you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, you have to put yourself in the situations you've been avoiding. You have to lean into discomfort instead of running from it. The fastest way to build resilience is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. This means doing things that make you nervous, things that challenge you, things that force you to push past your limits. It could be speaking up in a room where you'd normally stay quiet. It could be holding eye contact when you normally look away. It could be waking up earlier, training harder, or saying no when you'd usually say yes just to keep the peace. The point is, if you want to be stronger, you have to put yourself in situations that require strength. Most people fail to build resilience because they assume they need to feel ready before they act. They think they need confidence before they take a risk. But that's not how it works. You don't feel ready first. You act first, and then confidence follows. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you do something that scares you, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. And once you prove it to yourself enough times, that belief becomes unshakable. This is why small daily challenges matter. If you wake up and immediately choose comfort, hitting snooze, scrolling on your phone, staying in bed, you set the tone for the rest of the day. But if you start your day by doing something hard, getting up immediately, taking a cold shower, doing a workout, you train yourself to push through resistance. You train yourself to win the battle against your own mind. And once you start winning those battles consistently, you become someone who does not back down, someone who does not fold under pressure. Pain and struggle are not things to be avoided. They are the price of strength. If you lift weights, your muscles grow because they are torn down and rebuilt. If you run, your endurance improves because your body adapts to stress. The same is true for mental resilience. The more you expose yourself to discomfort, the stronger you become. Every difficult conversation, every rejection, every failure is an opportunity to train. And the people who embrace that training, who don't run from it but lean into it, become the ones who cannot be broken. There is a reason the most powerful people in the world have all faced setbacks. They've all been rejected. They've all failed. But what separates them is that they did not let those moments define them. They used them. They took every loss, every mistake, every challenge, and turned it into fuel. Instead of breaking them, it built them. And that is the mindset you need to adopt. When things go wrong, when you face resistance, when life throws obstacles in your way, ask yourself, is this going to break me or is this going to build me? The answer is always your choice. Most people seek comfort, but comfort does not make you powerful. Comfort keeps you stagnant. The only way to become stronger is to push past the limits you've accepted for yourself. Do something every day that forces you to struggle. Seek out challenges instead of avoiding them. Get used to rejection and failure so that they no longer shake you. And once you realize that nothing can break you unless you let it, you will carry yourself differently. You will move through life with a presence that demands respect, not because you force it, but because you have earned it. Most people spend their entire lives chasing validation. They seek approval from friends, family, co-workers, and even strangers. They shape their decisions around what will make them look good, what will make people like them, what will ensure they don't stand out too much or invite criticism. But the moment you attach your identity to validation, you become weak. You become controlled by the opinions of others, and that means your power is no longer your own. If you want to become truly powerful, if you want to be unrecognizable in a week, you need to detach from validation and attach yourself to something greater, your purpose. Validation is an addiction, and like any addiction, it traps you. It forces you to make choices based on external approval instead of internal conviction. The more you seek validation, the more you need it. The moment someone questions you, criticizes you, or doesn't give you the recognition you crave, you start to doubt yourself. You shrink, you hesitate, you lose momentum. But the truth is, the people who change the world, the people who command respect, the people who walk with power are not the ones chasing validation. They are the ones who have anchored themselves to something deeper. Purpose is the antidote to seeking approval. When you are driven by purpose, you don't need validation. You don't care if people understand you. You don't care if they agree with you. You don't care if they support you, because your actions are no longer about them, they are about something bigger. The most powerful people are the ones who know exactly why they do what they do. They wake up every day with clarity. They don't need applause because they are already committed to the path they've chosen. The moment you stop chasing validation, you become dangerous. People can criticize you and it won't shake you. They can ignore you and it won't slow you down. They can doubt you and it won't make you doubt yourself. That kind of confidence is rare, and that is exactly why it is so powerful. Most people are controlled by what others think. They hesitate before speaking. They water down their opinions. They try to fit in instead of standing out. But when you detach from validation, you no longer operate on their rules, you operate on your own. This shift is not easy, but it is simple. It starts with awareness. Notice when you make decisions based on how others will perceive you. Notice when you hold back because you fear judgment. Ask yourself, if nobody's opinion mattered, what would I do differently? That question alone will reveal how much of your life has been dictated by seeking approval. Once you see it, you can change it. One of the most effective ways to detach from validation is to embrace rejection. Make rejection your friend. Actively seek out situations where you might be criticized, ignored, or doubted. The more you face it, the more you realize it has no power over you. The greatest leaders, the greatest thinkers, the greatest innovators were all met with resistance. People doubted them, people mocked them, people told them they were wrong, but they kept going because their purpose was stronger than their need for approval. Another way to break free from validation is to stop explaining yourself. Weak people over-explain. They feel the need to justify every decision, to make sure nobody is upset, to get permission before they take action. But powerful people don't do that. They don't waste time trying to convince others to understand them. They state what they believe, they act on their convictions, and they let their results speak for themselves. If you want to be powerful, practice saying less. Make a decision and own it. If someone questions you, don't rush to explain, stand firm. Detaching from validation also means getting comfortable being misunderstood. Not everyone will see your vision, not everyone will support your path. That's fine. Your job is not to make everyone understand. Your job is to execute. The moment you accept that not everyone will agree with you and that their agreement is not necessary, you become unstoppable. Most people waste time trying to get approval before they act. But the most powerful people act first and let the world catch up later. When you stop seeking validation, you start living for something bigger than yourself. You start making choices that align with your purpose instead of your fear. You start carrying yourself with a presence that commands respect, not because you demand it, but because you no longer need it. The world respects those who don't beg for it. And the moment you detach from validation, you become someone the world cannot ignore. Power is not something you find, it is something you build. It is something you choose, and the moment you decide to stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop seeking permission, you step into a version of yourself that is undeniable. The shifts you make in just 1 week will not just change how others see you, they will change how you see yourself. Because once you learn to carry yourself differently, to control your words, to embrace discomfort, to stand firm without needing validation, you become the kind of person who cannot be ignored. You walk into a room and people feel it. You speak and people listen, not because you force it, not because you demand it, but because you have earned it. This is the moment. This is the time. Power is not given, it is claimed. And the only question left is, are you ready to claim it?